Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing my testimony from New Age to going back to Jesus Christ. My faith story is, as a Filipina, I was born and raised as a Roman Catholic. My parents, they were not really strict about religion. I do remember the family going to church, not as regularly as most families. Filipinos are very religious, and so I know that most families would go to church every Sunday. I was between 8 and 10. I knew then that I wanted to know about God, but I didn't want to go to church. I actually wanted to go to Sunday school. The Roman Catholic Church, there was no Sunday school. Even without my parents knowing it, I went to some Methodist churches just so I can go and attend Sunday school. So I loved Sunday school as a child. That at that very young age, I knew that there was something more that I was seeking. And because I went to high school in a different town, I was able to just go to the church that I wanted to go to. And so at the time I was going to a Methodist church. And then got to be a born-again Christian when I was in college through the Campus Crusade for Christ. When I got into university, I was still going to the Methodist church, being so far away from my family because I got a scholarship and I had to go to a town that's like 12 hours away from my hometown. And so I decided, rather than joining a sorority, I decided I am just going to join a Christian group. And so I got heavily involved with the Campus Crusade for Christ from freshman up to my senior year. And once I graduated, I started working in Manila. That's when I found a number of born-again and Pentecostal churches, and that was my church for a long while until I got married. Once I got married, I moved to Hong Kong and then moved here to Australia. I wasn't involved in any church at all. The church was more like intermittent. I would go when I felt like it in Hong Kong. I lived there for almost 6 years, but I know I just went to church maybe 6 times. Not even. But church was so far away from my mind. Suffice to say that my whole married life, I didn't go to church regularly. I never got involved into any church at all. That's not to say that I wasn't allowed to. It was just a choice that I made. Moving back and then moving here to Australia, I went to a Bible Baptist church for a few months, but then I started working full-time, and that was the end of it. I never went back to church. My introduction to New Age, to backtrack, when I was still living in Hong Kong, so that introduced me to a lot of personal development. So I bought a number of books. I went to a lot of conferences and seminars. So that helped somehow, helping me build self-confidence and personal development. And that's also when I got so big on Oprah. I was watching all her shows and bought the magazines when she started coming out with magazines. And at the time I didn't know that that was New Age. So I just kept going. And then in Hong Kong, where we live, in the apartment that we were renting, our landlord was the CEO of a Japanese company. I think either, not Sony, I think Hitachi, or anyway, an electronics company. He was the CEO of electronics. We rented out one of his properties. He had, at the time, I think at least, he owned 8 apartments, and in that building I think he owned a couple. So we lived on level 49. So that's the premium apartment. And so when I asked him what made him very successful, he mentioned a number of things, but what struck me was he said he followed Feng Shui. I knew about Feng Shui, but I wasn't really practicing much. I just know that there are some lucky items that you need to wear or have at home to have good luck. He said that just go and talk to a Feng Shui consultant and then you start with that. Yeah, and so I did. And at the time, my ex-husband was busy with the business. He just allowed me to do anything that I wanted to do, and that's when I started consulting with Feng Shui people, and there are tons of them in Hong Kong. So we started buying a lot of these knickknacks and display items. We would even make trips to Macau almost regularly just for me to find the things that I needed to place around that apartment. So when we moved here to Australia, we bought the house. the house was feng shuied everywhere. Every lucky item that we needed, I went and purchased. I even had to order overseas just to make sure everything is in place. And if you know feng shui, it's like it changes annually, and so again I would go and do that. And whilst we were in Hong Kong, and even when we moved here to Australia, we were having all this good luck. Like financially, we were doing so well. We had a number of properties that we just started buying. So at the time, I thought, well, this is really working because of all this feng shui that I put in the apartment. Started slow in my career. Once the trajectory of my career started to go up, and then I got so big into law of attraction. From there, I got into a lot of things such as angel card reading, tarot cards. I've even consulted with fortune tellers, faith healers. So with faith healers, it's so big in the Philippines that in my mind I thought like there was nothing wrong with that, because so where I grew up, that's sort of a norm. And so I continued on with that, and I got so deep in the law of attraction, so a lot of esoteric. At the same time, I was still so big on professional and personal development books, so a lot of psychology books, a lot of self-help, and I bought thousands of dollars of books. So couple and partner, we were very successful, and we focus a lot of, and I know that we focus a lot on money and materialism. We were always buying the newest trend, even before it's introduced to the mass market. We were buying the biggest TV. We wanted the best car. Like we wanted just the new thing. Even though what we had wasn't broken, we always wanted the newest thing, or maybe I wanted it. And then by this time, I would have accumulated a lot of books, DVDs, CDs. I would have attended conferences, seminars. I would attend all the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival regularly, and I would update all my lucky items around the house on an annual basis, because apparently it changes. So the direction of the good luck changes, so you've got to change everything, etc., etc. So I was so big on that, and I bought lots of jewelries, charm bracelets, and everything that I know will give me more money, more success. I went and bought and incorporated it in my life. The law of attraction and New Age has a lot to do with self and feelings. Being a Christian, at the time, I thought there was nothing wrong about it because it's all positive and good. I'm focusing on empowering myself. At the time, I also thought that wealth creation that's what God wants. And because it's a ask and you shall receive, so I just keep asking. But then I actually received things. But I was also big on vision boards, and I had, I think up to a month ago, that would have been my 8th vision board. I had vision boards where I put in all the things that I wanted to manifest, and true enough, I've manifested almost all of it. And that's why I thought, this must really work, because then I just have to ask and receive. And that's what all the law of attraction principles is saying, that ask and you shall receive. It sounded very biblical, but now that I realize it, it's a deception and the biggest lie. The New Age and law of attraction also focused on me being I am the master of my destiny. I am the creator. I create my own reality. What else? What other lies that I fell into? And at the time when I was so into it, and I thought this must be from God, because it sounded very biblical, and I'm like, I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I was focusing on me and my development and my growth. My belief was that if I am better and if I'm happy, then everyone else around me will be happy. It's very, really, now when I think about it, like, it's very self-centered. Now I get it when someone I love tells me, you can be very selfish now. Like, I get that now. I tried getting into meditation, but then there is something about it I wasn't so comfortable, and thank goodness I wasn't so big on that. And also yoga, thank goodness I'm not into yoga as well. Yoga is also part of New Age. Like, I have books on magic spells, and I see that's witchcraft, and anything magic is not from God. I thought, yeah, there's black witch is the bad witch, and then the white witch is the good witch. But now there's no such thing. A witch is a witch. So if it's not from God, then it's from the devil. So there's a lot of witchcraft. I have a few books on spells, and I think I even had a book called Witchcraft in the Witchcraft in the Bedroom and Witchcraft in the Boardroom. I kept going for years. The effect on my life was there were lots of material possessions that I have accumulated over the years. Thinking all the material things that I had was because of these practices that I followed. I thought it said I had career success I thought I was doing well with my relationships. But then the offshoot is there was something off about it every time I hit a goal or a mark, because I had vision board. So there are things I want to purchase, I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. I've traveled around the world and somehow living in luxury, because I have all the goods that I wanted, everything I wanted. And if I wanted it, I always get it. Even just saying it, and my husband would go and buy it for me. So I was sort of spoiled in that sense. At the same time, I had the ability to just go and buy what I wanted. So I ended up having everything that I wanted, but still I was so unhappy. There's always this achievement, but then I wanted more. So I knew that now I can see that there was a lot of focus on greed and materialism. On the outside, it looked like I was living the dream. No one else was telling me I'm wrong or I am in the wrong path. And so I just kept going. And then at some point, God did something in my life that sort of shook and changed everything. I think the start of it was my separation and divorce. When I moved to this house, I kept going with my New Age practices, I think for a good 3 to 4 years in this house. Only when I started going to church again, and I met a lady from the church and invited them to come over because I wanted to give away some of my stuff. And at the time I was also starting to dabble on simplicity and minimalism, and so they went over here to my house, and that's when she saw some of the idols that I still have in the house and did say to me about it, that I should get rid of it. Gave me a very brief explanation of it, and at the time I wanted to let go of stuff anyway, so I didn't mind. And also I started to just give away some of the stuff. And this is where I think I have to apologize to a number of people who I've misled, thinking that this will give you good luck. If you follow this, it will give you good luck. And I apologize because I shouldn't have done that. From a couple of months ago, because I started to reading my Bible again, a spiritual revival that happened to me, and I started to research more about spiritual warfare, and that's when I realized I really need to do a proper cleanup in my house, because I know that I was still keeping some of those jewelry that I had. I had dragon, like pure gold dragon rings and necklaces and charms that are pure gold with some stones in it that I didn't want to let go because I thought like they were really expensive stuff. And then once I realized like I really had to get rid of it, initially I started getting rid of books, CDs and DVDs. The CDs and DVDs, I throw them, put them in the bin. I've totaled the amount of books because let me just think. So I think I burned 80% of the New Age books that I had, and I just had to throw 20% because they were just too heavy and thick to burn. I just burned it in my backyard. I remember it was a Sunday, it was raining, cold, miserable weather, and I thought perfect day to burn it because then no one wants to go out. I started fairly early from 6 a.m. and I knew I ended up around 9 p.m. I had a few breaks in between because I was going through my library and checking what else is in there, what else is left. And whilst I was burning it, I was praying and crying, renouncing everything that I practiced that led me away from God. The other items that I had a few idols and paraphernalias that I had. I thought I should sell them because, again, it cost a lot of money to buy them. Some I actually shipped from abroad to be here. But then I was prompted not to. I've forgotten who I listened to at the time. He said that if I am going to give it away to other people and sell it, essentially I am passing the bad thing to the other person. And so I decided, so I'm just going to throw them. It took me almost a month. In fact, the month of August, last items that I throw were the good luck items. It's all those expensive jewelries and insignias, those lucky charms that I kept. So a lot of stones and graven images, etc. By the end of August and earlier this month, which is the first week of September, completely gotten rid of all the items, because then I am now on my second wave of declutter. If you are venturing into any of this new age stuff, all I can say is you really have to be very, very careful. The problem is when you are within that realm of new age, your discernment is really clouded, because a lot of these practices is false, it's dangerous and very demonic. And whilst you're in there and then you are experiencing the inflow of material possessions or career success or relationship success or whatever worldly success that you are experiencing, thinking that it's because of that practice, then it's really very hard to have that discernment. New age is not what it seems. Yes, initially you think that it will give you what you want, but there is always a payback, and that has to do with lack of peace, being away from God, and it's just that your relationship with God is going to be strained when you get into New Age. One of the biggest thing that New Age did to me is draw me away from God. When I did my timeline on when I started doing that, that's also the time that I didn't seek Him, I didn't go to church, I didn't read my Bible. My awakening, my going back to the Lord Jesus was so gradual, and it was only very recently that I realized my shortcomings and wrongdoings. Being a Christian, it's not an easy, comfortable life. A Christian life, it's actually a sacrificial life. The focus is more on Christ and not on self, whereas the New Age is really more on self-fulfillment, desires, success, more money, more jewelry, more time, bigger house, new car every time, luxury travels, parties. And then now when I look at it, I thought I had a great life, but looking from a Christian perspective now, it's more about me. The focus is more about me, myself, and I, what I want, what I need. It's me. I thought I was living a Christian life. I wasn't hurting anyone. Now when I think about it, I was hurting Christ, because the more I get deeper into this New Age, the less I spend time being with God. When I was into this New Age, I read all the books. Like, I bought a lot of these books, but I never read my Bible. I have renounced everything that has to do with New Age, anything that has a stronghold on me that has to do with that old life. I'm still praying and asking for God's discernment to show that to me so I can do something about it and get rid of it. I'm praying for families and some of my friends and acquaintances who are still so big into it. I can't see any idols left in my house, but I need to do another sweep of my possessions and see whether there are still items there that I'm very attached to that I really should get rid of. I talk about getting rid of idols because God doesn't want us to have idols. Let me just read Leviticus 26:1. Ye shall make you no idols nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it, for I am the Lord your God. With all the New Age books that I had, God's never mentioned. It's always referred as the universe or the energy. At the time I thought, that's odd. Why would they call it the universe? Maybe that's the new term. And I just kept following. I now know that God is not an impersonal force or energy. God is a personal being, and He is holy and He loves me. And so I just had to really go back to reading my Bible and finding more about Him. And that's all I needed to focus on. Reading His Word, the Bible, meditating on it day and night, and following through. Now the payoff is when I read the Bible, it's more meaningful, and I realize all the other things that I wanted and pursued in the past means nothing. The same token, I know that I have to be careful about the devil, because in John 10:10 it says the devil is always prowling and looking who to devour, because the devil is here to steal, kill, and destroy, and that's the only objective he has. John 10:10, it's the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. There you go. Yeah, so that's my testimony. I'm now back with Christ with a more open mind and heart, but knowing that only truth is in the Word of God, in the Bible. I'm just going to end with a few verses that is helping me in my journey to healing. And it's from Ezekiel 36:25-28. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes. And ye shall keep my judgments, and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your God. Alright, thank you all for watching. See you again next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.